Mukang. And I believe you're ready for the question and answer round. But that's not the next part of our segment, because the next part of our segment is what we call the photo challenge,
Okay.
and we are going to flash some environmental issues and tell us something about your thoughts, and please explain what can you see on the environmental issue. So let's begin our photo challenge. Our first environmental issue: polluted oceans.
Okay. So I think the first thing I see is a lot of plastic, which has been a problem for a number of years. I've seen photos that are similar to this, some even worse, where animals are either wrapped up in plastic or it's been cut open and it's filled up with plastic. So pollution of water bodies is something that's been going on for a long time, owing to either trash or even chemicals from industry. We've heard the stories, we've seen the photos and everything like that. And it comes back to the issue of personal responsibility. Each time you go to a beach, you visit a beach, try as much as you can to carry a little trash bag where you just put everything, and when you're done, carry it with you to your car and just take it back home and dispose of it the right way. When we come to industries, this one calls on people that are in decision making positions. You know the right thing to do, you know the right way to dispose of materials. So if you have a conscience, it calls for you to actually do the right thing, not for anyone, but just by yourself and for the sake of the earth. So we need to realize that aquatic life is very important. It plays a very big role in the ecosystem, and we can think it's a minority because we don't get to interact with it often. But one way or another, nature is going to react in some way negatively because we keep pressing and pressing and pressing. So before that is too late. The power to change all these things lies in our hands. So we can make a difference and stop it. Plastic pollution, use reusable bags every time you can.
You're welcome, Mukang. And I believe that polluted oceans is one of the ongoing environmental issue right now.
Yes,
So
it is.
yeah, as an environmental ambassadress, okay, this is just a follow-up question, okay?
Okay.
How will you suppress or lessen this kind of issues, like polluted oceans? Since I know that it would be a long time, it needed a long time for us to solve this kind of environmental issue. How will you eliminate or how will you lessen polluted oceans in as an environmental issue,
So
Muka?
what I believe is the first thing, the most important thing before anything is sensitization. A well-informed audience is going to make better decisions. You can put in all the strategies that you want, but if your people are not informed, it's not going to do them any good. Everything that you're going to do is going to fail. So the first thing, one of the most important things for me is sensitization to make sure people understand why you are doing what you are doing. And then if you follow environmental posts lately, there's been an idea that's been brought up of using trash trappers in water bodies. So these are mesh-like uh, nets that are put at certain points strategically to just trap trash. So they allow water, they do not affect the water flow really in any way. If there's any effect, it's very minimal. But the priority is just to get that trash out of the water body. And I hope and trust that leaders world over can look into systems like this, little systems like this that can be put into place and just help clean up the ocean. And from time to time, each and every one of you can just go, you can walk up to a beach somewhere with a group of friends and just try to pick the trash around. It's passing time. It's really not going to take the whole day. You can even just dedicate an hour of your time and just say, okay, guys, let's go and do this and make it fun as you're doing it so that you have memories, you create memories but at the end of the day, you're also doing something positive for the environment.
I believe your national director made the right choice to appoint
Thank
you
you.
to be the
Thank you
Miss
so
Earth Zambia 2020, representing your
much.
humble and beautiful country in this year's edition. And
Thank you
for
very
now,
much.
Mukang, I congratulate you for giving us a, a well-spoken answer, a very straightforward answer. And I believe our second environmental issue is now
Mm-hmm.
ready. And
Okay.
what can you say about global warming?
Global warming. So, most of this owes to the fact that we have these greenhouse gases that are released from factories, industries. And one notable thing is at the beginning of the pandemic, because most companies shut down or either cut down on runtime, there was a reduction in the amount of greenhouse gases that were being released, which highly contribute to global warming. And when this happened, there was a notable difference in the air quality. So, what I would like to do is we cannot stop development from happening. That's a fact. Companies are going to keep growing, industries are going to keep building and everything. But then, if we can, in one way or another, try to coexist in the sense that we run processes that are eco-friendly, use raw materials that are eco-friendly, I think it's really going to help curb that distortion that's happening between having a good environment and still producing what we want, what we need to use. Because everybody is so focused on developing their countries, developing their communities, so much so that we end up making decisions that are detrimental to the environment. So I'm challenging leaders world over to just make decisions that are eco-friendly, use raw materials that are eco-friendly, and do not harm the environment in the long run.
And Mukang, you've mentioned that one of the reasons why we are experiencing global warming is the greenhouse gases,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
So as a chemical engineer, I yeah. So I'm so sorry to ask this one. As a
Yeah.
chemical engineer, okay,
Yes.
um, do you consider yourself the tractors of the environment?
Sorry, do we
Why or
consider
why
ourselves
not?
what?
Do you consider yourself detractors of Mother Nature?
Distracted.
Yeah, detractors or the one who destroys our Mother Nature.
Well, partly. So it depends on what point you look at it from. Every process can be made eco-friendly. Okay, most of the processes can be made eco-friendly. If you can't do that, you should find ways of redirecting whatever it is they're doing to be a positive thing. One simple thing I can give you, an example I can give you is if you are doing maybe a process that releases oxides of sulfur, the best thing you can do is other than releasing those gases directly into the atmosphere, you could try and put up a gas cleaning conditioner so that it goes through that process and just tries to trap out everything that it can possibly trap out. At the end of the day, you need to realize that you can't, there are certain things that we can completely get rid of, but if we can minimize those things, then it's going to be better for environment. What we're trying to do is go towards the zero and not away from the zero.
We do appreciate Mukang for giving us an honest answer about that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And for our third environmental issue,
Mm-hmm.
what can you say about production of plastic goods?
Production of plastic. This has been plastic is one of the most detrimental things to the environment because it's non-biodegradable. So that means if I throw a bottle today and come and check after 100 years, I'm probably going to find it only that it won't be in the same state it was in the time I threw it. But then it's definitely not going to have degraded. So there are alternatives that are being put in every day, everywhere. And if your country hasn't started that, I think this is the time for them to start. You need to push, 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 and push them. We have countries that are doing that have plastic bans. In Zambia, we recently had that implemented. So all plastics is supposed to be biodegradable, which we're still trying to implement completely because some people haven't yet gotten a hang of that new normal. And we have seen places introduce the use of bamboo straws. So that's one of the ways of working towards having a plastic-free environment, because this is something that really, really does harm. Either way you try to look at disposing plastic, other than recycling, everything is detrimental. You throw it around, it will end up in a water body somewhere. You burn it, you're going to release gases that are going to cause global warming. So if, and we must find ways of getting alternatives to plastic, because it's definitely not something that's on our side.
Mukhang I can't deny the fact that you are very indeed intelligent and well spoken about some of our environmental issues. And
Thank
I
you
was
very
not
much.
able to expect for giving me or for giving us that kind of answer about plastic production. And we're looking forward for that as you go through to your road to the crown as Miss Earth 2020.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And our fourth environmental issue, what
Mhm.
can you say about overpopulation?
Okay. So overpopulation, other than just being an environmental issue, is also a health issue, because every place where you find crowds, the numbers of sicknesses are bound to be high. So other than that, you find a place that's very crowded is highly going to be very dirty, because there's more number of people that are going to throw trash around. If you have people that are very responsible, which is the case in most times. So having settlements that are not well planned is dangerous for the environment, because that increases the environmental problems that you already have in a certain place. So this calls for the necessary bodies to sit down and plan settlements properly. Make sure to say we have this number of resources. Can it support this number of people that we're going to put there? Everything must have a balance. For things to work out, they need to have a balance. You can't have 1,000 people depending on 100 people resources. It doesn't work that way. One is going to be affected more than the other. In most cases, the environment that gets the suffer.
And with that saying, Mukang, will you also consider to initiate um, on how to educate people on how to use contraceptives?
Okay. So the thing is, people are very reluctant. I don't know about the Philippines, but here people get to be reluctant sometimes, because they believe contraceptives are just going to have negative effects on their body. They often overlook the good of it. So most people are going to be very skeptical about using contraceptives. And that's where I now have to come in and just sit down with this person and explain to them the importance of taking these contraceptives. Because at the end of the day, you need to realize that you need to plan for these things. You can't keep having children and children and children that you can't look after. You're not only being unfair to yourself, you're being unfair to them, because they actually don't ask for any of this. So the issue of contraceptives is one that's very sensitive. You need to make sure a person understands why you're telling them to do that, and just take the process slowly. Yeah.
And lastly, our environmental issue. What can you say about this photo? Deforestation.
Oh, this one is one that hits close to home because this is actually one of the biggest problems that my country faces. It's a daily challenge. Every day we have trees that are being cut down. I think most people do not understand the value of a tree because it takes many, many years for a tree to actually just grow up to its maturity. It takes a lot of time. So in my country at the moment, we have been experiencing load shedding, which is power outages for long periods of hours in a day. Some places they actually don't have power for like 24 hours straight. So people have resorted to cutting down trees to make charcoal, which they use in homes for cooking and other things. So a lot of forest reserves have suffered, and we can see the effects of that in the fact that the rainfall pattern in Zambia has become very, very distorted. A long time we had rainfall in abundance, but now even the rainy season itself isn't really rainy anymore. And what most people do not realize is that it's a cycle. There's no way we are going to get rain if we do not have trees. The more we cut down trees, the worse the situation gets. So that's where actually my advocacy even comes in because a lot of people are cutting down trees, but then you ask the question, who is planting trees? No one. But everybody wants things to go back to the way they were before. Everybody wants power 24 hours. Everybody wants the rains to come, but then we forget that every day we are harming the environment. So deforestation is something that we really need to work on and look at on a really, really serious basis.
Thank you so much for giving me a wonderful answer and an on-point answers about those environmental issues that we flash on the screen, on screen, I should say, Mukang. And I believe you're ready for the question and answer round. Might be that the Miss Earth organization would also consider this kind of question and answer in your pageant segments. And this is a good start and a practice for you to answer those kind of questions. Might be in the pageant journey of Miss Earth 2020, these questions or these pictures will show off.